The convoy rolls out at 4:52 a.m. on Tuesday, June 16, 2026. 14 Chevrolet Tahoes, 3 Ford Expeditions, and a single Dodge Ram 2500 pulling a prisoner transport trailer. The lead vehicle carries Deputy Field Office Director Marcus Halverson, a 21-year veteran of the Detroit Area of Responsibility, reassigned 6 months earlier to run surge operations across rural Ohio. His operations binder is 2 inches thick. Every page has been redacted twice. The target list is called Operation Buckeye Harvest, authorized out of the ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations Field Office in Detroit on May 28th, signed by Acting Director Jonathan Park, routed through HSI for tactical support. Greene County was chosen for 3 reasons: a documented uptick in I-9 violations at 2 regional poultry processors, a cluster of final removal orders aging past 180 days, and a sheriff's office that had quietly stopped honoring detainer requests in late 2024. That last detail mattered. It meant local jails were not a reliable handoff point.
ICE would have to do this themselves, start to finish. By 5:40 a.m., the first team is parked 2 houses down from a duplex on Bellbrook Avenue. The target is a 34-year-old man from Guatemala with a 2019 removal order and a Honduran wife who is not on the warrant. Agents knock twice. No response. They knock a 3rd time and announce in Spanish. A child's voice answers from inside. The lead agent, a woman named Reyes with 8 years in the agency, steps back and waits. Protocol says they cannot cross the threshold without consent or a judicial warrant. They have neither. They have an administrative warrant signed by an ICE supervisor, which is not the same thing. He opens the door anyway. He is barefoot. He is holding a coffee cup. He says in English, "I know why you're here." That moment repeats, with variations, 49 more times over the next 3 days. The legal framework underneath all of this is older than most viewers realize. Section 287A of the Immigration and Nationality Act gives ICE officers the authority to arrest, without a judicial warrant, any non-citizen they have reason to believe is in the United States in violation of immigration law. That statute is from 1952. It has been amended, litigated, narrowed, and expanded for 7 decades. What it has never required is the cooperation of local law enforcement.
Greene County Sheriff Kirk Keller learns about Operation Buckeye Harvest at 7:14 a.m. Tuesday morning, when his patrol commander calls to ask why there are federal vehicles staged outside a trailer park in Beaver Creek Township. Keller has been sheriff for 9 years. He has never been told in advance about a federal sweep this size in his jurisdiction. He will not be told today either. By 9 a.m., the operation has its first complication.
The second poultry plant on the list, a Tyson-contracted processor outside Jamestown, has been tipped off.
Workers walked off the floor at shift change. The parking lot is half empty. Agents enter with an I-9 audit warrant and find 17 people they intended to question already gone. They detained 4. They had budgeted for 22. The leak, when it is eventually traced, comes from somewhere unexpected. A junior HR coordinator at the plant received a courtesy call Monday afternoon from a regional compliance contractor asking whether the facility's I-9 binder was current. The call was routine. The timing was not. By 6 a.m. Tuesday, a group text inside the deboning department had circulated a single line in Spanish: "No vengan." Do not come in. 12 people read it and stayed home. 5 more read it on the way and turned around in the parking lot. The contractor's call was almost certainly innocent. The pattern recognition was not. Halverson makes a call from the back of the box truck. Detroit authorizes a pivot. The convoy splits. Half goes to residential addresses originally scheduled for Wednesday. The other half holds position at a pilot truck stop off I-71 and waits for new intelligence. By noon, the schedule has compressed by 16 hours. Agents who were supposed to sleep in a Fairfield Inn that night will not see a bed until Thursday morning. The detention pipeline is the part of these operations the public almost never sees. Every person arrested has to go somewhere. Greene County's jail is not certified for ICE holds beyond 48 hours. The nearest dedicated facility, the Geauga County Jail, is 3.5 hours away by transport van and at 94% capacity. The Butler County Jail in Hamilton has space, but requires a contract amendment that has been sitting on a desk in Washington since April. By Tuesday evening, ICE is moving detainees in rotating shifts to a core civic-operated processing center in Youngstown, then busing them in groups of 12 to a privately contracted facility in Folkston, Georgia. That is a 740-mile drive. Consider what that means. A man arrested in his driveway in Xenia at 6 a.m. is on a bus crossing the Kentucky state line by 11 p.m. that same night. His wife does not know where he is until Thursday afternoon, when a paralegal from Advocates for Basic Legal Equality finally locates him in the ICE online detainee locator system. That paralegal is named Daniela Ortiz. She's 29. She's been doing this work for 4 years. By Tuesday at 3 p.m., her office in Dayton has received 17 phone calls. By Wednesday morning, 41. She does not sleep Tuesday night. She does not sleep Wednesday night either. The calls follow a pattern she has heard before, but never at this volume. A child calls first, usually the oldest one, usually a girl, usually between the ages of 12 and 16, because she is the one in the household with the best English. She describes what she saw.
She asks where her mother is. She asks whether her mother will be home for dinner. Ortiz has a script for this call. She has never finished it without the child crying. She keeps a box of tissues on her desk that she does not use herself. They are for the parents and grandparents who come in person on Wednesday and Thursday, holding folders of documents, hoping that one of them, any of them, will be the right one. The escalation comes from 2 directions at once. The first is legal. By Wednesday morning, the ACLU of Ohio has filed an emergency motion in the Southern District of Ohio, arguing that the administrative warrants used in at least 11 of the home entries violated Fourth Amendment protections because agents entered curtilage without consent. The motion does not seek to halt the operation. It seeks to preserve evidence and require ICE to disclose the legal basis for each entry within 7 days. Judge Algernon Marbley, a Clinton appointee on the bench since 1997, sets a hearing for Friday. The second direction is political. Greene County Commissioner Rick Perales, a Republican and a retired Air Force colonel, holds a press conference Wednesday at 2 p.m. on the courthouse steps in Xenia. He does not condemn the operation. He does something more pointed. He says he was not informed, that the sheriff was not informed, that the mayor of Xenia was not informed, and that the federal government's decision to conduct a sweep of this scale without notifying a single elected official in the county represents, in his words, a breakdown in the most basic courtesy of federalism. He takes 3 questions and walks back inside. Inside the box truck, Halverson is reading the press conference transcript on his phone. He says nothing. He turns the page in his binder. The obvious question is why ICE wouldn't notify local officials in advance. The answer is operational and consistent across every large-scale ERO action since at least 2017. Pre-notification creates leaks. Leaks empty workplaces. Empty workplaces produce 4 arrests instead of 22. The agency learned that in Postville, Iowa in 2008, and again in Mississippi in 2019.
The calculus has not changed. The calculus has not changed. What changed in Greene County was that the local political reaction was faster and louder than the field office had modeled. By Thursday morning, the operation has produced 38 arrests. Halverson needs 12 more to hit the number promised to Washington. The remaining target list is thinner than expected. 6 addresses are confirmed empty. 4 targets have apparently left the state. 2 are at addresses that turn out to belong to U.S. citizens with the same name. The agents call those collateral verifications. The press will call them mistaken raids. One of those mistaken addresses is a tan vinyl-sided house on Dayton Yellow Springs Road. The man who answers the door is 58 years old, born in Toledo, a retired postal carrier with a Steelers flag in the front window. He is on the porch in a t-shirt and pajama pants for 9 minutes while agents verify his social security number against a database that the field laptop is having trouble reaching over the cellular network. A neighbor across the street watches from her kitchen window and films it on her phone. She posts the video to a neighborhood Facebook group at 8:41 a.m. By noon, it has been shared 2,300 times. The retired postal carrier, whose name is not released by the agency, declines to give an interview to anyone. He tells the neighbor only that he had not been that scared since Vietnam. At 10:20 a.m. Thursday, a team approaches a single-story ranch house on Trebine Road. The target is a 41-year-old woman from El Salvador with a 2017 removal order based on an asylum denial. She has lived at this address for 8 years. She works as a housekeeper at a Hampton Inn off I-675. Her 2 children, ages 9 and 14, are both U.S. citizens. They are at school. She opens the door because she is expecting a UPS delivery. The arrest takes 11 minutes. She is allowed to call her sister. She is not allowed to leave a note for the children. A neighbor films part of it on a phone. The video is on local news by 4 p.m. and on national feeds by 7. The lead anchor on WHIO uses the word ripped. The lead anchor on WCPO uses the word snatched. ICE's Public Affairs Office in Detroit issues a statement at 9:14 p.m. confirming the lawful arrest of a subject with a final order of removal. The statement does not mention the children. It does not need to. Everyone watching already knows. You might be wondering at this point whether any of these arrests involve people with criminal records, because that is the framing the agency uses most often in public messaging. Based on the operation's own internal tally released later, 11 of the 50 had prior criminal convictions, ranging from DUI to a single aggravated felony. The other 39 had immigration violations only. That ratio is not unusual. It is, in fact, almost exactly the national average for ERO at-large arrests in fiscal year 2025. By Friday morning, the operation is winding down. The convoy has been on the road in shifts for 76 hours. Agents have rotated through 3 hotels and 1 National Guard armory in Springfield. 2 HSI agents have been pulled from the operation after a vehicle collision on Route 68, both with minor injuries. The Tahoe totaled. The total arrest count stands at 47. Halverson wants 50. The final 3 come from a workplace stop at a landscaping company in Fairborn. The owner, a U.S. citizen named Doug Pemberton, lets agents into his office voluntarily. He hands over I-9 forms for 14 employees. 3 are flagged. 2 are taken into custody on the spot. The 3rd runs out the back door, across a service road, and into a stand of trees. He is found 90 minutes later by a canine unit hiding in a drainage culvert. He is 23 years old. He has been in the United States since he was 11. That is arrest number 50. The operation closes at 2:47 p.m. Friday, June 19th. The federal courthouse hearing happens that same afternoon. Judge Marbley listens for 90 minutes. He does not rule from the bench. He orders ICE to produce, within 10 business days, a full inventory of warrants used in each home entry, the supervisory chain that authorized each one, and the underlying probable cause basis. His order is narrow. But it is the first time in this operation that the federal government has been told in writing to show its work. Here is the one thing I will say plainly in this script, and then I will go back to the facts.
An operation that requires its own legal authority to remain secret from the sheriff of the county where it is taking place is not an operation that is confident in its legal authority. That is one sentence of opinion. Take it or leave it. The aftermath plays out over the next 4 weeks. Of the 50 people arrested, 31 are transferred to Folkston, Georgia. 9 are transferred to a facility in Louisiana. 6 are released on supervision after attorneys file motions for stays of removal. 5 of those because of pending U visa applications related to prior cooperation with law enforcement. 2 are released because they were U.S. citizens, including a 52-year-old man born in Puerto Rico, whose case ICE's own statement later described as an identification discrepancy resolved through review. He spent 38 hours in custody. 2 more are deported within 9 days before their attorneys can file anything. The cost of Operation Buckeye Harvest, according to a partial disclosure obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request filed by the Dayton Daily News in October, was approximately $1.84 million in direct expenses. That figure includes agent overtime, vehicle costs, contracted detention bed nights, and transport. It does not include the cost of the eventual litigation, still ongoing as of this recording. It does not include the cost to Greene County's general fund of 3 school districts that suddenly had to provide emergency social services to 14 U.S. citizen children whose parents were in detention 740 miles away. The school district response is its own small chapter of the story. The superintendent of Xenia Community Schools, a former math teacher named Gabe Lofton, convenes an emergency meeting Friday afternoon with counselors from 4 buildings. By Monday morning, the district has identified 9 students in immediate need of placement support. 2 are placed with grandparents. 3 are placed with aunts or uncles already in the county. 2 enter temporary kinship arrangements through Greene County Children's Services. 2, a brother and sister ages 6 and 11, spend the weekend at the home of their school bus driver, a woman named Patty, who has driven their route for 3 years and whose husband signs an emergency caregiver affidavit at the kitchen table on Saturday morning. Lofton does not give interviews about any of this. A board member tells a reporter, off the record, that the district spent roughly $46,000 in unbudgeted counselor hours, transportation changes, and meal program adjustments in the first 10 days alone. Sheriff Keller gave one interview to the Xenia Daily Gazette 3 weeks after the operation ended. He said he was not opposed to immigration enforcement. He said he was opposed to being treated in his own county as if he were not there. He has not commented publicly since. Commissioner Perales lost his primary in March 2026. The candidate who beat him ran to his right and called the operation long overdue. Make of that what you will. Daniela Ortiz is still at her desk in Dayton. By the end of August, she had personally located, contacted, or referred 43 of the 50 detainees to Immigration Counsel. She does not give interviews. She told a reporter from the Columbus Dispatch, in a single sentence she allowed to be quoted, that the hardest part of the job was learning which children had been told the truth about where their parents went, and which had not. Now go back to that parking lot behind the vacant strip mall in Xenia. 4:30 in the morning, June 16th. 18 vehicles idling. A laminated sheet with 22 names on it,
By the time the convoy pulled out, every one of those names belonged to a person who was about to lose the only address they had. 48 hours later, 50 families in Greene County would be measuring their lives in two halves, before the knock and after. The duplex on Bellbrook Avenue is still there. The coffee cup is still in the sink.
The man who opened the door is in a detention facility outside Folkston, Georgia, waiting for a hearing that has been continued twice. His daughter is 7. She drew a picture of him last week and gave it to a teacher. The teacher does not know what to do with it. 50 arrests, 1 county, 76 hours, and 1 laminated sheet that nobody outside that parking lot was ever supposed to see.